In this math video, we're going to be learning about integers. Okay, so integers are numbers that can be either positive or negative, but they must be whole numbers. They cannot be fractions, decimals, or percentages. So just here we've got a number line of all of the different, all of the different integers from -10 all the way up to +10. So all of these numbers here would be considered integers. All right, so one of the most common things that you're going to be asked to do with integers is use the for operations on these. And it can be a really, really tricky thing to get your head around. So we're just going to go through it very slowly today. You may actually have to watch this video a couple of times or even just do a couple of refreshes and skip through after you've got the main concepts of it, because it is very tricky and it might take a while to kind of make sense in your mind. So if you're struggling with this, that's okay. It's very normal. It's a very unusual concept to grasp at first. Okay, so with addition, we're going to start off looking at addition, and I want you to have a go as soon as I stop talking about addition. And what we actually do to solve addition, please pause the video and have a go at these addition questions here. Okay, and then the same with subtraction. I've got these questions here for you to try, and I can absolutely give you the answers to these at the end of this video. All right, so with addition of integers, when we've got two positive integers, if we have, for example, these two numbers here, 5 plus 3, we start at the 5 and then we add on 3. So we go to the right of the number line here. So 5 plus 3, 1, 2, 3, and our answer is 8. So we've got a positive number plus a positive number, it equals a positive number. So that's something that we're all very comfortable with and used to. Okay, so something that may not be that new to you is a negative plus a negative. So if we have a -5, for example, over here, and we plussed a negative onto that, it would go like this: 1, 2, 3. So it would be a -8. So a negative plus any negative is always going to equal a negative number. Okay? All right, and so now this part is the tricky part, really. So if you have a positive and negative, or a negative and a positive, what you'll need to do is you need to, in your answer, this is what I do straight away, is in my answer, I go, okay, which one between them is the bigger number? So let's look at this here. -5 plus 3. So 5 is a bigger number than 3. And it has a negative sign. So that means that my answer is going to have a negative sign as well. And so now I'm just going to take away the smaller number from the bigger number. So it's -2. Okay? So we've got a -5 plus 3, and we get a -2. All right, so now let's look at this one here. So it's the same question, really. Just kind of flipped around the other way. So we've got a +3 plus a -5. So again, because the 5 is larger and it has the negative number, so it has a negative sign, out the front of it, we hold that negative sign or symbol out the front here. So whichever number here is larger between the two, you keep the sign or the symbol of that number, and that's going to be in your answer. And then you just subtract them from each other, even though this is addition. Okay, so then we've got a 2. All right, so now we've got this one here. We've got the -3 plus 5. So if you look at the 5 again is still bigger than 3, but in this circumstance, 5 is actually a positive. So our answer is going to be a positive number, and then you go 5 take away 3, which is 2, and that's why we get a +2 here. And so in our last one here again, we've just simply flipped the sum over. So it's 5 plus -3. So you say 5 is still bigger than 3. So 5 is a bigger number, so we keep the positive sign of that bigger number, and then we take away the 3, which gives us 2. Okay, so I've got these questions here for you to try. Pause the video, have a go at them. I've got a negative plus a positive. The reason why the negative numbers are always in brackets is because it's often confused with an operation rather than, I'll put this one in brackets, rather than a actual negative or positive symbol. So a lot of the time you'll see the negative numbers in brackets, but that's all it means. It's just a way of trying to make it clear to you that it is negative. It's not saying subtract. Okay, so pause the video and have a go. All right, so subtraction. So when we are subtracting integers, so if we have a negative number, taking away from a positive number, it's going to equal negative. So an example here is -3. Take away 3 is basically the same as saying -5 plus -3, which is going to equal -8. Okay. All right, so if we have a positive, taking away from a positive number, like a +5, take away from a negative. See, a lot of our answer is always going to be positive. And a rule that some people like to use is they like to imagine that when you see these two negative symbols together, they almost just kind of come together very well and form an addition symbol. And so that's their reminder that the two signs here, these two symbols, the subtraction sign and that negative symbol, together form an addition symbol, and then we know that the answer is going to be positive. So it's a 5 plus 3 scenario there. Okay, so if we have a negative number, now taking away from a negative number, we're going to kind of treat it back as a negative plus positive situation. So this one up the top here. Okay, so we want to subtract the smaller number from the larger number and use the sign of the larger number in the answer. Okay, so in this circumstance here, we know that it is going to be a we know that it's going to be a negative, and the reason why we know it's going to be a negative is that the 5 here is a bigger number. So because the 5 is the bigger number, it carries the symbol over to here, so it's a negative. And that's what the difference is here, is that this one here is actually a positive, and so that's why this 2 is a positive. Okay? Alrighty. So I've written these questions here for you to try. Best of luck. Pause the video and I'll talk through the answers at the end. Okay, so multiplication and division. These actually are surprisingly easy when you get your head around it. So if you have a positive plus a positive, so like let's say 3 times 7 equals 21, it's a positive 21. But if you have -3 times -7, I wonder if I can write that. Negative, no, it's not going to come out. If I had a -3 plus a -7, then it would also be 21. So the answer, if I had a positive and a positive, it's positive. Negative times a negative, it's positive. So it's only going to be a negative answer if you have mismatching symbols at the front. So if you have like a -3 times a +7, then you would get a -21. Okay, so all the multiplication answers just stay the same though. And it's exactly the same with division. So if you've got the same symbols in front of the numbers, then it's going to be positive. But if you have different symbols, then it's going to be a negative. All right, well, good luck with your questions, and remember to always show you're working out. Okay, so to just go through the answers to these questions over here, we have a negative 7 plus a 12. So we've got a negative over here plus a positive. So it's important to look at the symbol of the number that's biggest. So 12 is the bigger number, so it's a positive number. So then what I do is I just simply take away the 7 from the 12, which is 5. Okay, so now we've got 19 plus a negative 3. So a positive plus a negative. A positive plus a negative. Still in this one here. In our third example down here. So we've got a positive plus a negative. So it is 19 is the bigger number. So we keep the symbol of the 19, which is positive. So then we just take away the other digit. So it's 19 take away 3, which is 16. So now in this circumstance, we've got two negative numbers and we're adding them together. So we know it's always going to be negative. So we keep that symbol of the negative and then it's negative 66. We just add the two numbers together. All right, so now with subtraction, which may have been a little bit trickier. So with the subtraction, we've got a negative 6, take away a 7. So a positive 7. So a negative take away a positive, and so we know that that's going to equal a negative there. So a negative take away a positive. And so all that we did was we added the two digits together once we figured out what the symbol was. So 7 and 6 is 13, so it's negative 13. All right, so this one here is, remember that we've had that trick where we can put those two matching kind of symbols together and make it into a plus sign. So then we've got a 12 plus 3, which is 15. So it's a positive taking away from a negative there. And so now this one here is the tricky one, really, to get your head around, because you treat it as the same as you would a negative plus a positive, which is over here in the addition. So what you do is you've got the negative 9 taking away to the negative 4. So what I ended up doing was switching this around. So it's a negative 9 plus a 4. So it's almost like you're using that trick of before where you use those two symbols there and you change it into an addition and you drop the negative symbol and it becomes a positive one. So it's a negative 9 plus 4. And so then what I had to do was say, okay, well the 9 is actually bigger than the 4. So 9 is going to carry over the symbol that it holds, which is a negative. So it is then 9 take away 4, which is 5. So it's a negative 5. So now I've got my double negative again, just so I can get up my practice here. So I've got a negative 5 taking away a negative 8. Again, I'm going to combine those two symbols to make them a positive or a plus sign symbol, sorry. So then I've got a negative 5 plus 8. So in this circumstance, I've actually got my 8, which is a positive number, and it's the larger number out of 8 and 5. So I'm going to say 8 take away 5. My answer is 3, and it holds the symbol of the 8, which is positive. So it's 8, so 8 take away 5 was 3. I hope that helped you a lot, and good luck with the rest of the questions that you attempt in this area. Bye.